And the interesting point is that of the inventions that Kodak had, one of them was the first digital camera. So you would have made the assumption that with that head start, they should still be ahead of the field.
What if you created something so powerful? Has it changed the world forever? And what if that same invention slowly destroyed everything you built? This is the story of Eastman Kodak. For more than 100 years, Kodak was not just a company, it was part of people's lives. It helped families capture birthdays, weddings, and everyday memories. The idea of a Kodak moment became something everyone understood. At its peak, Kodak controlled almost the entire photography market. It was rich, powerful, and nearly untouchable. So how did a company this strong fall so far? Did it miss the future or fear it? And how can a company invent something and still lose because of it? Because the truth is simple, Kodak didn't ignore digital photography. It actually created it. If you enjoy stories like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Collapse Files for more real stories of rise and fall. The beginning. The story of Eastman Kodak starts with one simple idea: make photography easy for everyone. Before Kodak, taking a photo was difficult. Cameras were big, heavy, and complicated. People needed special skills to use them. Because of this, only professionals could take good pictures. Then came George Eastman, and he changed everything. Kodak introduced a camera that was already loaded with film. You didn't need to understand the process. You just pressed the button and took pictures. When the film roll was finished, you sent the whole camera back to Kodak. They developed the photos, printed them, and returned everything to you with a fresh roll. It was simple, smart, and new. For the first time, normal people could take photos of their lives. And that one idea helped turn photography into something everyone could enjoy. The rise. Eastman Kodak did not stop after making photography simple. In 1900, they introduced the Kodak Brownie. It cost just $1 and was easy to use. Even children could take pictures with it. This changed everything. Photography was no longer only for experts. It became part of everyday life. Families could now capture their own memories without help. Over the years, Kodak kept improving. In the 1930s, they introduced color film, including Kodachrome, which became famous for its bright colors and long-lasting quality. By the 1970s, Kodak was everywhere. Most cameras and film came from them. In 1976, Kodak controlled about 90% of the film market and around 85% of the camera market in the United States. This kind of dominance is very rare. Kodak was not just leading the industry. It had become the industry itself, the turning point. Inside Eastman Kodak, new ideas were always being explored. In 1975, something truly groundbreaking was created. An engineer named Stephen Sasson built the world's first digital camera. It was very basic. The device was large, slow, and took low-quality black and white images. It needed more than 20 seconds to store just one photo. But it worked. For the first time ever, a picture could be taken without using film. This was a huge moment in history. When Sasson showed it to Kodak's executives, they understood how powerful it was. But they also realized something worrying. This new invention could one day replace film. And for Kodak, that meant one thing. It was not just an innovation. It was a threat. The fear. Eastman Kodak earned most of its money from film, not from selling cameras. Its business model was simple. Cameras were sold at a low price, but the real profit came later. Every time people took photos, they had to buy film and pay to get their pictures developed. This system worked for many years. But digital photography changed everything. If people could take pictures without film, Kodak's main source of income would disappear. That is why Kodak felt afraid of digital technology. Even though it had helped create it, the company did not fully accept it. Kodak continued to work on digital, but carefully and slowly. It was trying to protect its old business instead of fully moving toward the future. The missed opportunity. During the 1980s and early 1990s, Eastman Kodak kept working on digital technology. They invested billions of dollars into research. They even built one of the first megapixel cameras and later introduced early digital cameras for consumers. So why didn't this save them? Because Kodak did not truly believe digital would replace film. Instead of fully moving forward, they tried to make digital support their old business. They created systems to store film photos digitally and built kiosks where people could print digital images. Their focus was not to replace film, it was to protect it. This decision slowed them down. While the world was changing fast, Kodak was trying to control the future instead of accepting it. The competition. While Eastman Kodak was trying to protect its old business, other companies were thinking ahead. Brands like Sony, Canon, and Fujifilm believed digital photography would fully replace film one day. So they invested heavily in it. They worked to make digital cameras smaller, cheaper, and easier to use. Over time, the quality also improved a lot. By the early 2000s, digital cameras had become good enough for everyday people. This changed everything. People loved the convenience. They could see photos instantly, delete mistakes, and share images without printing. Film was no longer necessary for most users. And slowly, the world moved forward, without waiting for Kodak. The collapse. The fall of Eastman Kodak did not happen in one moment. It happened slowly over many years. In the late 1990s, Kodak was still a very valuable company, but little by little, things started to change. As digital photography became popular, film sales began to drop. By the early 2000s, Kodak's income had fallen a lot. The company was losing money and had to lay off thousands of workers. In 2004, Kodak made a big decision. It announced that it would stop selling traditional film cameras and focus more on digital products. But by then, the situation was already difficult. Other companies had moved faster and taken the lead. Kodak was no longer ahead. It was trying to catch up. The struggle. Eastman Kodak tried many ways to survive as its old business collapsed. For a short time, it became one of the top sellers of digital cameras in the United States. But there was a big problem. Digital cameras did not make the same high profits that film once did. The old business model no longer worked. Kodak also tried to enter the printer and ink market, hoping to replace lost income. However, it struggled to compete and did not gain a strong position. After that, the company turned to lawsuits. It sued other tech companies over digital imaging patents, trying to earn money through legal settlements. Some cases brought income, but many did not succeed. These moves showed how hard Kodak was struggling to find a new direction. The fall. By 2011, Eastman Kodak was in deep trouble. The company was losing money fast, and its stock price had fallen to very low levels. In January 2012, Kodak officially filed for bankruptcy protection. This was a major moment in business history. A company that once ruled the photography world was now struggling just to survive. During the bankruptcy process, Kodak had to sell many valuable assets. This included important digital imaging patents that were once expected to be worth a lot more. It also stopped making digital cameras, pocket video devices, and other consumer products. The company that once helped people capture memories was now forced to step away from the very products it helped create. The rebuild. In 2013, Eastman Kodak officially came out of bankruptcy, but it was no longer the same giant company it once was. It had become much smaller and more focused. Instead of selling cameras or serving everyday consumers, Kodak changed its direction completely. It moved into business-to-business services. The company started working in commercial printing, advanced materials, and chemical products. These areas were very different from photography, but they offered a way to stay alive. Kodak was no longer trying to capture family memories. It was now trying to rebuild itself as a business-focused company in a very different industry. The strange comebacks. Even after bankruptcy, Eastman Kodak kept trying new ideas. In 2016, it released a smartphone made for people who love photography. But it did not become popular and failed to gain attention. Later, in 2018, Kodak entered cryptocurrency. It announced a digital coin meant to help photographers manage image rights. The news briefly increased its stock price, but many people called it a marketing move rather than a real business shift. In the end, the idea did not succeed. The most surprising twist. In 2020, Eastman Kodak surprised everyone again. The US government announced support for Kodak to help produce ingredients for generic medicines. This was part of a plan to strengthen drug supply chains. The news shocked people. A photography company entering pharmaceuticals felt unusual. Kodak's stock price rose quickly after the announcement. But soon, the deal became controversial. Questions were raised about the company's readiness and some trading activity around the news. Eventually, the plan was paused and never fully moved forward. Today, as of recent years, Eastman Kodak still exists. It has not disappeared, but it is no longer the giant it once was. Its income is much smaller than before, and it now focuses mainly on business services instead of consumer cameras. Still, there is a small comeback in film photography. Some young people are using old film cameras again for creative work. Kodak continues to serve this small but steady market. The real lesson: the story of Eastman Kodak is not just about technology, it is about thinking and decisions. Kodak did not fail because it had no new ideas. In fact, it helped create digital photography. But the real problem was fear of change. Instead of fully accepting digital, it tried to protect its old film business. It wanted to control the future, not replace the past. By the time it accepted reality, other companies were already ahead. Conclusion. So, what can we learn from the fall of Eastman Kodak? Its story is not just about business. It is a warning. How can a company so successful lose everything? What happens when success makes you too comfortable? Kodak shows us something simple but powerful. Success can become a weakness if you stop changing. When companies fear risk, they stop moving forward. And in a fast-changing world, standing still can be dangerous. Kodak did innovate. It even helped create the future. But it was not ready to let go of its past. So here's a question for you. Are we ready to change when the time comes? Or will we hold on too long? Because sometimes, the future you build can turn against you. If you found this story interesting, like the video and subscribe to Collapse Files for more stories like this.